Welcome to Digital Humans, a podcast where we learn from leading experts about how we can harness technology to evolve our organizations and our lives. This podcast is sponsored by SmartLab. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Digital Humans podcast. My name is Georg Seiler and I'm joined by my co-host Jessie Tung.
Hello.
This podcast is about learning from leading experts on how we can harness the best of digital to evolve our organizations and lives. It is about putting people at the center of transformation initiatives and harnessing the incredible opportunities that technology presents. Today's episode is all about building together through customer success, and we're delighted to be joined by our guest today, Clelia Lancelot. Clelia, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, it's fantastic to be here.
Clelia, you're a CX leader with over 12 years of experience in business transformation and customer success. You've built and led CX teams, focusing on scaling, process improvement, customer journeys. You're very passionate about customer success and coaching high-performing teams. And your highlights, I understand, include leading career development programs for women and securing the biggest service deal of the company you're at to date, managing a customer portfolio of over $100 million. So loads going on there. And currently a manager for the enterprise customer success team at Atlassian, an Australian software company. And we are thrilled to have you with us today. So Clelia, can you share a bit about your professional journey and what led you to your current role in customer success? And perhaps tell us a bit about what customer success is for those listeners that may not be familiar with the term.
Sure. I started my professional digital journey almost 20 years ago in the advertising space. Then I shifted my career slightly. I wanted to work with tools and solutions that made a big impact in our way of working. And that's how I joined Salesforce and actually discovered the role of customer success. I usually split my career in kind of 3 steps. So it was really at the beginning all about the role exploration and the ecosystem while I was at Salesforce. Then I grew into leadership within customer success with a strong focus on adoption and business transformation and of course ROI. And then I moved to a startup in the scale-up world in 2020. I wanted to increase my scope and support the full chain of the post-sale customer cycle. And now, I think I've got a right balance of fast-paced company with a lot of opportunity ahead and shaping the customer success in order to have an impact with our customer portfolio.
So, Clelia, we share some professional journey together at Salesforce, and then customer success is becoming a very trendy term. So, what's your definition of customer success? And also, do you have a specific point of view of where you are taking the customer success team towards in the near future?
Yes, that's a great question, actually. And my definition of customer success is really helping, a client or an organization to achieve their business goals by making the most of a solution or a product. I believe it differs from a support function who looks mainly at fixing issues within a system or a solution that doesn't work, whereas the customer success manager needs to get to know their customer more deeply, to be able to speak their customer language and bring them digital solution to facilitate business needs. So they need to understand the customer's industry, know their use cases, and they will be able to support, in specific ways of working, gaining efficiency, growth, bridging some internal silos as well. And I'm really passionate about it because I think we're really bringing, a real solution to support businesses, but also individuals to be better at their job.
It's also about speaking customers' language as well, right? I guess coming from customer success world myself as well, this is what I'm mostly passionate about, and being able to create value to the clients. And so on that note, I do have a curious question. What are you most passionate about in this area, and what made you roll out of the bed on a day-to-day basis? Because I think as a leader, it is always important to be value-centric and also to have something that you're truly passionate about.
Yes, I think that's really where, the way of working and the digital world like bring us so many solutions in the digital space. I believe at Atlassian we're very lucky and very tech savvy, so we're big fans of our own tool. We use heavily Confluence, our knowledge base tool, to share all information internally and with some customers also in private spaces. This goes from sharing, about a recent initiative or team updates or customer projects. And then depending on the type of work we want to track, we use different tools like Trello for personal task tracking or Jira for more complex projects and initiatives like roadmap planning and product releases. One of our new tools that we use a lot is Loom, and it records like snapshots of video that serve us to work asynchronous. So internally, so sometimes we share some quick updates to each other, or then we also use that to send update to customers. So it makes it a bit more relatable than just an email.
And what digital solutions have been the game changer in your view? I mean, I think it is great to have digital assets. And I have to say, like, not all the companies are investing as much in these areas as well. So it's music to my ear that you do have a lot of digital tools internally. If you have to pick one that is a game changer for your team, for your business, and then also for the industry, what would that be and why is it important?
If I need to pick only one, it's tricky to pick only one because I think we're using so many. But I would say a customer success platform, so like Gainsight, for example, that's the one we're using. It really gives superpower, I think, to customer success manager, because if you use it well, it's kind of part personal assistant. When you can have a action reminder, you've got a conversation summary, but you also use it to track and plan your work, like your success plan, your renewal, or basically just all type of activities are going to be logged in.
And is that used across enterprise type solutions, or can it be used for creative projects as well? Or I'm just wondering how our listeners, our digital humans out there, could, what value it can add to them as well.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a mixture of activity tracking, planning. Then it's kind of a mini CRM for customer success. Obviously, everyone usually knows Salesforce, or there are some other big tool out there. This one is really a bit more, I would say, customized toward customer success. So taking that way of working in mind compared to maybe some other tools that are a bit more sales focused. But I would say in terms of features and way of working, that would be similar. I would say the new hype is all about AI those days. I think we are a big fan and early adapters at Atlassian, and we've got our own version of generative AI within our own tools as well. So we use that to, rewrite some contents to make it more impactful, to review and define new processes, obviously analyze, for example, customer sentiment as well from different interactions we may have had with some customer in our servicing tools. And obviously automate a lot of tasks, create alerts, use that for health scoring as well, and build some customer journey.
And has the use of the AI tools shifted the way that the customer success role is delivering these days, from your perspective? How have you seen things evolve over the last 2 years or so?
Yes, no, totally. We've got another tool actually we're using that's called Gong, and it's to record your video and your meetings. And it's basically doing all the heavy lifting of taking notes, doing a recap of your meeting, defining some next steps. So I think in terms of just, preparing and following up on meeting, that saved hours of work every week. So you are in a customer facing role, it's almost like a big portion of your prep work and follow-up work is done by AI. So that's huge. And then that gives really more time, I think, to the customer success to be engaged as well in the discussion, because they can really, ask the question, not thinking that, they need to take notes, that they're going to lose track of some of the conversation. So it gives them the option to be more present, I think, during calls. And then afterwards as well, going back to some conversation and try to find additional insight from the conversation that they had and kind of build on top of those conversations. So yeah, I think it's really been a game changer. We are only touching the surface. I think there's more to do.
Absolutely. And just to kind of move us into the role of of the human in a way, and obviously the efficiencies that the AI tools and otherwise present to you, I'd love to learn a little bit more about some of the customer success challenges and solutions and growth. So in your role, you've been responsible for scaling and restructuring CX teams. It would be lovely if you could share a bit about your approach to strategic planning for a customer success team and maybe talk us through some of the typical challenges and maybe share an example or two from your own experience, as I'm sure there are many listeners to the podcast who are working in companies where their CX teams are perhaps at differing levels of the journey. So getting your insights about how to really set this up for success and maybe some of the watch outs that may come your way and how to overcome them, I think would be extremely valuable.
I do try to build on a roadmap and work on a mission with the team, diving into some of the key area from customer success, around operational excellence, team growth. And one big key aspect, I think, from the role is to clarify, everyone's role. So that can also take, the job description, like reviewing the job description, the competencies matrix. And then I do think it's super important to give ownership as well to the team. So some things I've done in the past is having some SMEs in the team that can go a bit more deeper into specific product or some initiatives as well. And then it's all about, streamlining, processes and cross collaboration. So making sure that, we know how we work with our sales counterpart and the product, that we've got a proper handovers being done through one team to another. And I would say last but not least is like more ritualizing as well some of the meetings. So team meetings, having some monthly best practice or office hours. So you kind of have a clear rhythm within your team and some QBRs where you go back and review your result and tracking how you're progressing. I think I can share maybe one specific example where it actually failed at some point. I had a new team, a mixed team of new form team with some people coming from some other part of the organization, plus keeping a portion of a former team that I manage. I could see that after a few weeks, things were off. I could see people talking less during team meeting, having some blanks and kind of lack of energy overall. So I started by discussing, with each team member individually, trying to understand what was off. And actually what came back, people shared that they were lacking connection and common purpose. And what happened is it was actually two sub-teams within a team that we were trying to make work together. But they were having actually different set of objectives and they were not working on the same product. So they really struggled to work together and to see the value of being one team. So I went back to everything that I've shared before and tried to find some alignment and some common goals so they could see that actually they could create some synergy and work together, although some side of the business were a bit different. Sometimes you do things are working really well and you just change a small piece that you think is not super important and it changed totally the balance and the performance of the team. So that was quite an interesting moment in my management career.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And then I remember the time when I was invited to Clelia's team to do a Lego Serious Play workshop. It was a lot of fun. And then to me, I think Clelia to me is always very creative and always try to help the team to think outside of the box and then help the team to grow, right? So I guess my question is, given your expertise in scaling teams and operational excellence, what would you say that are the key steps you take to foster growth and also high performance within your customer team? And what type of leadership style do you find works best in this kind of context as well?
Yes, I think you really need to build on your habits and kind of creating so that sense of purpose. I think within the team, I think if you need the team clarity, you have a regular check-in so they know where they are at. You share regular feedback. a key step is to build that kind of a safe and trusted environment for the team to grow within. So, giving the space to express themselves freely, like feel that they're being heard. And yourself as well, you need to show up and not let go of some of the hard conversation. I think that helps. I would say, my leadership style is always a bit difficult. I had to look into what type of leadership style does exist. Initially, when I've been asked that question the first time, I was like, what is my leadership style? But I think I would define it as what we call democratic. So I like to consult and empower the team before making decision. But I do really believe in kind of flexing my style as well, depending on the needs of the team, but also the context. If things are a bit tense, like that we need to make decision quickly, I think I would go more like into a bit more authoritative type that, you need to progress quickly and you need to have advance for the sake of the team as well. But then where we are at the beginning and we need to set things up, like I think I could be a bit more into the strategic side of things.
You're listening to Digital Humans, sponsored by Smart Lab, a leading experience management platform for events, learning, and change.
I know there's a trend in the tech space that a lot of the licenses are managed more on the consumption basis. It's very relevant to your team and also your role as a customer success leader. So how would you manage licenses within a large customer base to ensure customers have access to the right tools and then to ensure that the adoption is there? And how do you streamline the processes within your team?
So for me, it's all about what we say, focusing on adoption and utilization of the tools. That's where you're sure that your customer are making the most of it. And I think that's really like the constant question for customer success. Like, how can you make sure that you are actually supporting your customer to maximize their usage of your solution? So we do really believe in use cases. Like that's really something that we follow. And at Atlassian, I think we've got different forms. Like we obviously develop our own use case library where we've got some inspiration and give a lot of resources through our online university as well. We build on our customer success story, experience, etc. Because we're also like the first user of our product, we're able to talk through experience and share the way we do it. And I would say one last thing that maybe I've seen being done a bit differently is like we love interactive sessions. So we would, use our own digital whiteboard to explore with our customer in real time and actually work with them to understand deeply like what objective and what pains they're trying to, support with our solution and building on the first pain and the first scenario that they're using our solution for. We're coming up with capabilities and then like coming up with some real KPIs that we can align to it. And then our real success metric is like to make sure that we are delivering on those KPIs that are linked to what the business is trying to do. So for example, if I use one of our tool like Jira, it's all about project management and initiative. So some of the KPIs we're using is like the actual delivery of some of their features, like when they work around feature releases, for example, within a product. Like we want to make sure that they've got the velocity they need to deliver on time and that they're tracking towards those goals. For me, it's always really about having the customer, realizing their goals and getting the value out of the product. And then I would say for kind of on our side, we've got a lot of different BI and adoption product dashboard that we're using to track that our customer are making actually that usage of the product. So we can see, the seat and licenses capacity. We can see the number of features that they're using. So we've got a quite comprehensive adoption feature dashboard that we can use to work on.
Clelia, thank you so much. I mean, everything you're sharing here is so practical, really. The episodes is focused on building together, right? So how we as digital humans are building things together, and you're giving us such a clear insight into how we could use what's around us to do that. If I was just to sort of take it back a level, I'd love to hear a bit about where you think the future of work is going, and in particular around, the ever-evolving use of digital tools. So how can we as digital humans work well together and really, really kind of thrive as the landscape evolves? So would love to take your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Like, I think in relation to customer success and how I see like the space evolve, I think first like there's a shift in customer success, like being totally now embedded into the revenue organization. So customer success becomes a strategic kind of account team alliance, moving away from the support organization maybe previously. So that's kind of the first aspect. Then I think like a lot of organizations are still working too much in silos. So I think that's why actually at Atlassian we center our revenue organization around customers and working very much as a global account team, depending on our customer segment. On top of that, I think it's all about the relevancy. Like, I think we need to stay relevant all the time. So being like having the customer knowledge, having deep customer knowledge, more industry background. So that's not something we're doing yet at Atlassian, but we've done that at Salesforce, I think, very well. Is like having really team like working on specific industries. So they go a bit deeper and build on their industry knowledge. And I think that's quite relevant for customers. And then we talked a lot about the tools. I think we really need to embrace all the tooling options to gain efficiencies so we can focus on strategic topics. So obviously we talked about AI, like the data analysis, automation, like everything that can be done on top of the customer usage is really key. And one final aspect, I think we need to redefine a bit more customer journey. And a bit the same way as marketers would do, like focusing on the funnel up to the purchase point. I think we need to anticipate our customer needs and reinforce that concept of, being there at the right time with the right content or the right tool, maybe. So that's going to be super key.
I love that. Thank you so much. And as a follow-on to that, really curious to hear a bit more about some of the positive initiatives that you're also involved with, environmental, social, and so forth, and tech for good. How do you apply them to those initiatives, and what are you excited about in terms of some positive solutions that we can create?
Yeah, that's a great one. I believe customers are asking us to be role modeling, and I think it comes in different shape depending on organization. I think at Atlassian we are really big on the remote work and what we call Team Anywhere. So it's really about enabling all the workforce to be able to work from anywhere. We also have like up to 90 days where we can go and work abroad, and we are showcasing the way we're working as a fully, I would say, distributed organization. And I know that you're also working a lot in a remote environment. So I think collectively we know that works. I believe we're also trying to use our technology to enable, some ONG and small businesses. So we give some licenses and type from the employee, like through the 1% pledge, and we also give a lot of licenses for free. And another thing that we are doing most is like when we do events, like we try to make them as sustainable as possible. So in terms of the use, like no use of plastic, as minimum, like water fountain everywhere, so people bring their own bottle, all that type of things, and even like for the food menu as well. Like it was not all vegan, but they're trying to embrace different type of food option. One other thing is like in terms of an overall organization, we do a lot of campaigns, so trying to encourage the team to explore, for example, with some other organization like Eco Challenge to create awareness on this topic as well. And on a more personal note as well, I do believe in leading by example. So I think I'm usually trying to be quite vocal and share freely my views on the topic. Last year I went harvesting in the wine domain that's totally sustainably manage. So yeah, and then I think within the team we always use an opportunity for team bonding as well to do some good. So through giving back into our community, we organize a lot of charity event as well to support the local communities.
Yeah, it's great to learn so many tools, and that there are so many different technologies is now made available to help your team and also the customer success organizations. We always ask this closing question, Clelia, as we draw to the end of the episode. I mean, we like to ask our guests about the digital humans, right? So looking ahead 5 years from now, what do you think it would mean to be a digital human?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. And I've listened to some of the other episodes, so I got a flavor. But I was like, it's such a difficult question to answer. I don't know. I mean, in my view, I could totally see a world where we've got an enhanced version of humans using the machine, and I think for us spending more time on the emotional side of the world. I think that's what I shared earlier with that the Gong video recording is you can really be present and in the moment when you kind of get rid of all the other things that you have to do. So I think it's more thinking through our own mind and capitalizing on our experience and knowledge while making the most of our digital tools. And I did a bit of research, and I went back and remember this Ray Kurzweil prediction. If that comes true, I think we're only 4 years away from AI catching us and computers to have human level intelligence. So I believe we need to be ready for that. And we've started already. I mean, I can see it how we're using AI now. So yeah, I think I would enjoy having my own, future digital personal assistant, managing my agenda and reminding me of my meetings, maybe doing the changes for me, inviting some other people, and make the most of that aspect. While as well, I think something we haven't totally figured out is how do you manage, sometimes very large set of data. I think we're still scratching the surface on that part. So it's how do you make sense of all that data that is now available to you, and if you can have someone helping you digesting it and making the most usage of it, I think that would make us superhumans in some ways.
Thank you so much. No, I always love hearing the perspective of our guests, and Clelia, it's fascinating to hear everything that you shared. So thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a real pleasure to hear your story and insights. And we just want to thank all of our listeners for listening to the Digital Humans podcast. And thank you again, Clelia, for a wonderful conversation today.
Yeah, thank you, Clelia.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really delighted about the conversation. So thanks a lot.
Digital Humans is hosted by me, Georg Seiler.
And me, Jessie Tung.
Produced by Melanie Price and John McGinty. Edited by Danny Cross, with artwork by Alex Matthews and scribed images by Ludic Creatives. This podcast is brought to you by SmartLab.